Velma.
Hey, Arlyce.
What you doing?
Just listening.
To what?
Everybody.
Doing what?
Just talking.
I talk, you talk, he talks, she talks, we talk, they talk. Everybody here talks.
Ain't
Every day.
nobody listening.
Conversation. We want you to watch our stations. We'll exceed your expectation every day. Conversation with Velma and Arlyce.
Well, hello and welcome to Everyday Conversations with Velma and Arlyce. I will be your host today, Arlyce Anderson, having a conversation today with Angela Piggee. I've known Angela for over 60 years.
That's true.
But I'm just very excited to have her here today. I have known her obviously all my life, and I've looked up to her for that long. And it's been a real pleasure to grow up with her. She is my sister. She's also definitely one of my mentors and someone that has in my life always been there for me to help me to grow and to evolve and to give me the information that I need sometimes as an older sister to hear. And she's always been that for me. When you look back on your beginnings, what do you see?
Well, first of all, you gave me way too much credit. I am the oldest of five, so being the oldest brings some things with that. Parents don't always know what to do becoming a parent for the first time. So we all, as parents, and I have children too, as you know, kind of tweak things with the second child and maybe the third or fourth. But my experiences are very different than yours. Mm-hmm. But I think the one thing that I really learned from my childhood is the importance of family. Mm-hmm. And we had a really good experience as children and having a family. It was a true definition. When I look at it, I look at other families and I look at, this generation, we just really were together and did everything together. And Dad was always, when he wasn't working, he was home. Right. And he interacted with each and every one of us. And Mother, I just saw her as taking care of the house. They were such a good team together. I don't know that they had all the romance that maybe you and I experienced growing up with relationships because of their beginnings, coming from the South and having endured Jim Crow era and such racism in the South. Who knows if they had dates or, just having a loving relationship before they decided to move to, Detroit and start a family. Right. But regardless of that, they just seem so strong and attached to each other, and I just value that, So that's just part of, my core value is the importance of family. But if you don't have your partner, it doesn't come from that same type of background,
Yes.
then it's difficult, So, and it's hard to teach people the value of family if they never had that. But anyway, that's...
No, but that is, and I think, just even sitting here talking to you now, I think one of the things that we don't really acknowledge is how different the experiences are from one sibling to another sibling. Mm-hmm. Because you would see our parents' relationship differently than I see our parents' relationship.
Right.
And had more of an impact on you because you were the firstborn. And so you saw a lot of things and understood a lot of things that probably totally blew over my head. And plus I'm a different child than
Right.
you are. But so that informed a lot of what you were expecting when you moved on into your own relationship.
Right.
And so as you progressed into your relationships, what was?
Yeah, I wanted to emulate that, you know, but it's life changes you when you with your own relationships, and there's some things you can emulate and there's some things that you cannot, you know. But one thing that our parents did instill, because their generation, their parents were teaching them to survive.
Right.
So your dad wanted to get off the farm and make his own money. So they worked. They were hard workers. They already had that. So dad worked in a factory, right?
Right.
Mom worked in a factory occasionally. She was making parachutes, as you recall.
Because we had to make parachutes too. Yeah, I definitely recall.
That's right.
I don't know if you had to do that,
No,
but
I
we
did
were
not.
definitely making parachutes with mother and she'd bring them home. So yeah.
Oh, that's too cute. But so yeah, her generation was let's work and feed our families, and you know, and keep everyone together.
Right.
But they were trying to instill upon us to get a college education.
Definitely.
And I think part of it too is that they did have a little taste of college.
Right.
So they knew what it meant, but they just couldn't stay.
Right.
So at least it taught our generation, you need to go to college.
Right.
They may not know how to get you in there, but it so instilled in our generation was, you got to go to college.
Absolutely.
And it took me a long time, as you know, to finish, but I did.
Yes. It not only did it take you a long time, and that's one of the things I have to say I so respected about you, because I didn't understand until later how difficult it is to work, to have children, to have a husband, and to still go to college, because you were going to college for, was it 10 years?
At least.
10 years,
At least.
going through college
At night.
with children at night, working full-time. Can we say full-time? 2 children and a husband. And I add a husband because husband is help, but a husband is also work. So we're adding all of that. And then went on to get the MBA also. So it wasn't like you stopped there,
No.
which is understandable to stop there, because we understood we had to have education.
Right.
But
Right.
you even took it a step further, which is
And you know, and that's part of my character that built us, and my husband at the time, because we went through the affirmative action stage, and which opened up so many doors. I mean, it was at a time where I said, I don't even know what I want to be when I grow up. You know, I'm in college. What do I want to do? But at that time, there were non-traditional jobs that we wouldn't even think about going into. But because there weren't a lot of representation of women and minorities, they opened, the government said, let's open the doors to that.
right. Because
And-
before that, it was closed,
It was
and that
closed.
wasn't even an option. It
No.
was like, go to school so you could be a nurse, so
Right.
you could be a teacher,
Right, or secretary. I
or
mean,
secretary.
you know,
Exactly. So
right.
it wasn't even like, okay, let me aspire to this, because you didn't know it existed.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. So at the time that occurred, I was still in school, and I was working for the telephone company, and jobs opened up. You know, you don't have to be an operator. There's nothing wrong with being an operator, but that's not all you could be.
Yeah.
You know, you can now be facing the public. You know, you had to wear certain clothes, but you could be a service rep, and that was really. And my husband was working, he was in a blue collar job at the telephone company. And I heard about some marketing jobs that opened up. So I said, why don't you apply to that? And now he went from blue collar, he took the test, and now he's in sales. And more black men became, they were already educated.
Exactly.
You know, it was
Exactly.
a perfect fit for them because they could do the jobs, but the only jobs that they were allowed to do were working in the back offices on the lines or working on the wires.
And let's say that the only jobs they were allowed to do.
Right.
I mean, I don't like how we brush over this transition, this battle that we had to do to get to where we are and where you are right now, and where your husband got to at the time. It was a battle, because either you didn't even know it existed, so you didn't even go for it, or it was there and it just wasn't open to you, even if you wanted to.
Right.
So when you went to him and you said, why don't you try this? I heard that there's a marketing job open. What about that? What was his reaction?
It was almost like, what, me? I said, yes, you are so articulate. You have your degree in marketing.
Working on the lines
right.
at the phone company,
Right.
and his degree was in marketing.
I said,
and he was, I know,
try.
he's very intelligent. I remember how articulate and how definitely determined and smart, and yes, definitely.
And he even said to me, he says, I don't even own a suit. I have to go interview for a marketing job. I don't own a suit. I said, we can fix that.
Is that when you started sewing?
I started sewing. I made him a suit.
Now, can we just get into a little bit about the size of your husband?
Well, that's probably why I had it made, because he is 6'5",
Right.
and like 180 pounds, so very thin and tall. So he's not big and tall. He's thin and tall. So, I don't know. That's funny that I made his suit. I can't think about that, because they weren't perfect though. Because it doesn't. But yes,
you made the suit, you found the job, and you encouraged him to go.
Yeah,
and that's one thing about you, Angela, that I have to say, you have always encouraged us.
Aw.
I think you've been an absolute perfect older sister, because you encouraged us,
Don't believe that.
and you help us, and you believe in us, and that's who you are, though. That's who you are as a person. So you doing that with your husband was a very normal and natural thing, and that's what partners do.
Yeah.
And that's what is really helpful, when you can have a partner and
Right.
you can work together.
And I'm not saying
grow
that
together.
to boast at all. I just mentioned that because
It's true. It's a reason.
well, I was just trying to. We have to make our own opportunities.
That's right.
Nobody came and tapped the black guys that were working with him.
Got you.
Because two of his other friends said, well, I'm going to take the test too. Nobody tapped them and say, oh, this door's open.
Right.
I just happened to hear it.
Right.
And that's how it worked.
That's how it
probably
worked.
still works today.
Yes.
But that was the start of us becoming, in my mind, successful. We transitioned from kind of floundering where we're going to go. We're getting degrees, but not sure what to do. Now, let me tell you, my biggest influence in getting my undergrad degree in accounting was my sister, Arlyce. Okay, I said, what is accounting? She says, there's not a lot of women in accounting. There are not a lot of CPAs. Let's just do this. And I took some classes, and I really liked it, because I was good at math. I really liked accounting.
I was kind of amazed when you did that. I was kind of amazed. I had to tell you, because, of course, I found accounting by looking in the encyclopedia, because we always had the encyclopedias in our house. We were one of those that bought them when they came door to door with the encyclopedias. We got encyclopedias.
Right.
And it was good, because that's where you got information in those days. That's where you got
That's
information.
right. That's
And when I wanted to find a profession, I went in there, I saw accounting, because it started with an A, and it was one of the first ones I saw. It made sense to me, and I went for it. But your transitioning in there was amazing, because you had been working since when? I mean, and you started working when you were like, what, 15 or something?
Oh, a different job.
No,
yes.
just working. Yes, absolutely. And bank. You worked in a bank.
But that was when I was in college.
Oh, okay.
I worked in a bank at night, encoding checks. And I worked at the post office before that, during the summer. So yeah, I kind of needed to make my own money.
Yes. Yes.
Because we didn't have a lot of money
Right.
growing up. I didn't know that then, though.
Right.
I thought we had a lot of money.
Yeah. Certainly seemed like we had enough.
Yeah, we had enough. We had enough.
enough.
But yes, I always wanted a little bit more. I wanted, clothes and things all teenagers want to have.
And you were the one that bought some of my first really special clothes.
Yeah.
Clothes that worked from Sears and weren't from, well, most of them were from rummage sales for sure growing up. But
Or hand-me-downs, right?
I had a
Some
lot of
my clothes.
hand-me-downs. Now, let me explain hand-me-downs from a sister who is shorter than you. Can I explain what those hand-me-downs look like? You can imagine. I'm 5'10", and I know your average height, but what is your height?
5'4.5".
5'4.5", which is average for Americans. But getting hand-me-downs from my sister all my life, they were the nicest clothes because you always did sew very well. You did sew very well, and you did always work. As I can remember, it just seems like you always worked. So you did have nice clothes. So we would, my other sister and I would get the hand-me-downs, but yeah, they didn't always fit so great.
Right.
And I was even wearing your shoes, even though they didn't fit at all. I mean, they hurt my feet. I still wore your shoes. So that's how it is when you're growing up like that. But just saying, you did have exposure to working. So when you're deciding, what is my profession? What am I going to go into? What kind of things were you thinking about? Like, were you thinking the environment I wanted to work in? Were you thinking what I want to do with my life? Or were you just, go what's in front of me?
That was what I was doing, and I think, and that's a good point because the generations have changed. With affirmative action, I wanted to find the job that I could make the most money. Unfortunately, which means not necessarily you'll be happy with that particular career.
Right.
And what I told my children who are now grown is follow your passion. Do a job that you're going to love. It may not be the most high paid, and that's not what's important.
Right.
Is what you like to do.
Right.
And my children, I believe, really love what they're doing. And a lot of us, my generation, said to our children, own your own business.
Yes.
We were pushing that. Not only do you go to college,
Right.
but you need to own your own business.
Now, why is that? Why? What was
that was like
behind
a Jesse Jackson era, because he was pushing that. And we want to be our own bosses because we got the white collar jobs, but we were mistreated. There was a glass ceiling.
And it was low. It was really low glass ceiling.
It's like,
yes,
you only gonna make so much money.
And Daddy, do you remember Daddy saying that all the time? All the time.
That's
Daddy
right.
would be sitting there saying to his little girls, this is even before the boys were born, or maybe they were infants, but I just remember him saying that all the time.
Right.
You have to have your own business because they will never pay you. Or he would just say, you will never get paid what you're worth.
Right.
Never get paid what you're worth.
And that's
you
correct.
have to have your own business.
Right.
And I know where that came from. That came from him never getting paid.
Right.
Never. So it's still today coming down, still happening to us, to women, to black African Americans, male and female. But the difference it makes, the impact it has on you is more than just not having the money. It's not having the money and not being able to share the money, because I know how much you did for me with your little bit of money when I was in college, and how you helped me with whatever you had. And the difference it makes is we're not able to help as many people as we want to around us, and it also hurts your pride. It also hurts your pride. So when you're telling your children, and we get into your children a little bit, because how did you manage to get your children through college and into...
We don't have enough time.
I told you to run out of time.
Right, we don't have enough time. That has to be another subject. I mean, I can say.
Yeah, let's do the little abbreviated version of your children both went to college, and you put them through college. Both of your children, and your daughter is now a pediatrician. I'm sorry, she is internal medicine and pediatrician, works as a hospitalist, and your son is a architect.
Licensed architect.
Working in his profession in New York.
And he spent most of his career in New York. Now he's working in
right.
Newark.
Right.
With a startup company. So
very successful, and we do not want to brush over that, but just there's a lot of layers underneath that. But to just suffice it to say, you also were able to raise children who are now in a profession and very successful in their professions, and I think that is something magnificent that I always want to congratulate you on as I struggle to get my children through high school.
And I was there too. I was there too. But you know, the key to, well, first of all, it took a lot of praying. And my mother prayed for my children, and I prayed for my children. So I do thank God for helping me get my children through. And the key to is having family support. That's the part that, again, I could not have done what, you know, my kids without the support of you. I mean, I can tell you there's different times. You sent my son on a college tour so he could see some of the historically black colleges. I couldn't afford it at the time, but you said, let's just do this. And he went, and that really turned him around, because he didn't know the college life at the time. It was a very young age. I think it was 15 or so. And he said, well, this is really cool. So that kind of got him thinking. My sister Karen helped, you know, with my kids when they were in college. I mean, sometimes they would call home and say, Mom, I need some money. I said, I don't have it today, you know, and my sister would send some money sometimes. So and my mom helped a lot. She just, you know, especially with, when she came to live with us, and my kids were teenagers, and I was working and I was traveling a little bit, but she was there to be home when they came home. Right. She was there to help cook. And she did cook, you know, and provide a nice warm house. And when my children would be, my son sometimes would get in a little trouble.
Right.
And, you know, we get some calls from the school. She would do what she can and go see after my son and watched over him. I mean, I just had a lot of help. But I always tried to make them understand, you're going to college.
Right.
Now, if you don't go to college, there's going to be something that you're going to do. There has to be a trade. You have to have a career.
Absolutely.
So they already knew that from little to, you know, to actually getting into college.
Yeah.
Because, and you give them examples. You know, my son, for instance, worked in various jobs, retail. You know, he would be a stock boy, or he would work in the restaurants, busboy. But his
newspaper boy too. I remember that
for many years, newspaper boy. But and my son struggled a little bit with just being a little disciplined, you know. But when you show kids, this is what you can be, or this is what you might be. Which one do you like better? Do you want to be an adult and manage a McDonald's? I'm not saying that's a bad job, but is that what you want to do?
Right.
Or do you want to do something different and in New York City maybe, and, you know, have an office in a high-rise building, and, you know, just help them with their dreams.
Right.
You know, just have them dream.
Right.
And then try to focus them in that direction, you know? So it's a different world, and I can't compare my generation or my children's generation to the generations now. You got all this technology that we're competing with for attention.
Yes.
And I was involved with my children as much as I could be. Right. It's important to have a bond.
Right.
And that's what we had with Mother and Daddy.
That is true.
You know, we went on picnics together. We went over our cousin's house together, and we did everything as family. Christmas was so special. We had all the traditions.
Right.
We need to keep traditions with our children.
Right. Because like you're saying, keep a bond. Because with a bond, then you can always be able to talk, they can hear
Absolutely.
you can get through all of that and you can get back to them. There's a lot of things to worry about, a lot of ways to get off track. But I totally agree with you. When you go back to what I think made the biggest difference for us is how close our family was. Our family was very close. And everything that I did thinking about what's mother going to think if she finds out about this.
Right.
But I think it's so important to really be close to your children.
Right.
Have your family as much as possible also be close to your children, and to be able to have more people that can love them and
Right.
also be able to talk to them and help grow them.
Right.
And I think that we've been very good about that.
I think so.
And it has helped me transition to all the things that I have gotten to today. But I think what I really want to share really a lot with the people listening to our conversation is the difference it makes of being able to just get to the point where you reflect. I think it's important to look at, we were raised in poverty, and from poverty we were able to grow and branch out. Every one of my mother's children, and there are 5 of us, 3 girls, 2 boys, every one of us ultimately owned our own homes. Now, in America, it sounds like it's something, a path that happens for everyone. It is not. It is not. Coming from poverty and growing to a place where you do manage to get at least some education, and how many of us actually graduated? Even if Artie didn't graduate, he was close enough to graduating because he did get a degree in something.
Yeah, an associate's degree.
Okay, and Karen has an associate's degree.
Yes.
So most of us actually did get degrees and start working, but it's major that every one of us managed to buy our own homes and live in our own homes and to grow in that way. And so coming up from poverty, the lessons are definitely education, education, education. We know that. We know that. But it is becoming more difficult now to get an education because we are not getting as much support and grants and loans to be able to get an education. So if there's anything I would say is, if that could just be easier for us, we can pull ourselves out of poverty and we can stay out of poverty.
And we can help more people.
And we can help more people, because that's what we do. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was great. And I'm so proud of you.
And I'm proud of you. I'm sure our audience is going to be asking for more of you. And all you have to do is ask. We will have more. And I'm very happy that you came on the show. I love you.
You too.